Good morning, everybody. My name is Paola Cossu. I am the CEO of FIT Consulting and the Vice Chair of ALICE Thematic Group on Urban Logistics. First of all, let me thank to the IPIC organizers for having taken the challenge on curbside management in the physical internet. Let me share my presentation. The title of my presentation is Curbing a Chaos, Driving to Physical Internet. The curb appeal and encoding competing interests and needs. This is just the first presentation of this special session that will be followed by my colleagues is Giuliano Mingardo from Erasmus University Rotterdam that will present a curb survey in Europe with a specific focus on urban logistics. Philippe Rapin from Urban Radar and Álvaro Niklas Loscos, City of Barcelona, that will present an interesting case from Barcelona City. Charlotte Min from FM Logistics, being also the ALICE Urban Logistics Thematic Group Chair, that will present the Plume project. And last but not least, Giacomo Lozzi and Ivo Cre from Polis, Cities and Regions for Transport Innovation, that will introduce to us the perspective from the city in harmonizing and generating value from urban logistic curb community. Curb space in city has historically been a consistent revenue source for municipality through parking fees and is still an indicator for real estate and retail value. Curbs as a limited resources in city are facing growing demand, often underpriced. Administration need to understand how to generate new values from the curb to dynamically manage and quickly communicate any adopted change to road city users. Reassigning curb space for new purposes is often politically difficult to manage, as the use of the curb is competitive and viewed as zero-sum. For several years, curb space use and regulations have been addressed in response to property and business owners and mainly allocated to private vehicle storage. The competition for curb access was limited to taxi stands, parking and no parking zones, and the bus stop that represented the most significant source of demand. The increasing demand for curb space may lead to revisit the conventional ideas about curbside street parking, not only to meet new delivery needs, but also to free space for pedestrians. Addressing high demand will identify conflicting policy that affects to the curb and price differentials that create unintended consequence and use and misuse of it. Curbside space can be seen as a hub for competing transportation modes. In particular, we can see that there are several interests that are insisting in the same slice of the city space. And we have car parking, freight delivery, front stoop, taxi, bike, bus, sidewalk, cafe, and so there are different users, everyone with their own needs, and the proper allocation allows understanding how that curb is being used and how city needs to regulate, guaranteeing safety and efficiency at the same time. To this scope, authorities and planners need to redesign, measure, and price, and finally properly manage the curb space in collaboration with public transport company, mobility operators, innovators, and local authorities. Curbside management is about improving mobility and curb access for a variety of road users in a way that is safe from public health and road safety perspective. The proliferation of shared mobility options like bike sharing, high vehicles, micromobility, e-commerce, package deliveries has increased demand for curb access and turned it into the urgency of managing curb space as a public asset. There is a new form of competition derived from interest in using exclusively a curb space. Last mile delivery, drop off all transport mode, like sharing mobility, social and economic activity, like, for example, green space, pedestrians, Everyone asks for a slice of the same curbside. Improving safety and encouraging active transportation are subject to the ability to manage curbside competition and ensure that freight vehicles can safely conduct their loading and unloading activities. To this scope, European cities are rapidly looking for effective ways to digitally manage such strategy space and balancing priorities for all competing interests of curbside community. Planners and urban specialists have many options to manage the curb, but a core challenge to address is to understand real-time demand, considering that the curb zone located between streets and sidewalk is the newest real estate. Valuable assets to avoid traffic congestion, double parking, and increase inclusion and environmental goals, with potential to generate revenue opportunities for cities and business. As optimists, I argue that COVID-19 is an opportunity for urban planners to release more street space for delivery, pedestrian, cyclists, micromobility, shared mobility, moving to greener city, effective operation, and low carbon economy. Due to COVID-19, large share of deliveries has now been replaced by frequent movements of small shipments to both commercial and residential destinations. They need a place to park while their drivers ring to our door with that pair of new sneakers or steaming bowl of noodles or a colored cover for your mobile. And both business and people have quickly become familiar and regular with the bulk buying. That is meaning buying large quantity of products, especially to get cheaper price, and to receiving near immediate delivery of goods when and where they are desired. Delivery company have to stop where they need to stop because they have to deliver their package. And if we are not accommodating and managing that, they stop where they don't want them to, where it is not properly allowed. Drivers are thus frustrated by the lack of parking, sometimes forced to park out far away from the destination or pay for parking garage, causing additional traffic, increasing travel times, adding inefficiency and pain point in the city experience. We can say when drivers are in the traffic, they tend to blame and once in front of them, but they are never in traffic, they are traffic. While public roads are now important assets, raising their value and potentially generating new revenue, sorting out possible conflicts among different city users, existing public infrastructure can better serve the city in a mode that is more dynamic and flexible. But we have to consider that not all curb uses are regulated and managed, that there is still a great value that is untapped in the curb, and the data is not properly collected. Checking authorized users in the access versus not authorized users to the curb is still a challenge, and also communication on to the road users in the enforcement and changes in regulation is not properly communicated and smart enough. A flexible and dynamic curb management can help city mitigating congestion, meeting mobility goals, adapting to new digital technology, and increase revenue to better curb use pricing model, for example. Curbside dynamic management needs to consider if we want an appropriate way to do it, to make it, is to follow the following principle. There are safety in the streets, access for all, efficiency, rebalancing, and rethinking the use of streets and curb. There are some elements that can support in the coding the curb. For example, flexible use of the city at different time of the day, especially if we think to the e-commerce growing. Urban streets need to be considered as open ecosystem. integrating fragmented data coming from different sources because the demand is still fragmented. Communicating the rules at different users is quite important, and monitoring the use of the curb. So that means that what gets measured get managed. And finally, to enforce the curb with the support of technologies and rules and respective policy. This is quite an interesting example on how the Seattle Department of Transportation is managing the curb in the treatment, selection, and planning, starting from the different priority areas in the city that are residential, commercial, mixed use, and industrial, and allocating different priorities according to the typology of the urban space, according to different use of urban space. If we consider flexible and mixed use of urban space, we need to think about a hub. As a first step, we need to allocate priority in a possible way is to arrange, for example, the city time and space. Then we need to include all the elements that are needed in terms of physical and virtual infrastructure, like, for example, dynamic shared use mobility, so the some zone, sensors, lanes, lockers, micromobility, electric vehicle car share, trip planning, real-time displays for information. Everything needs to link the entire community and satisfying all the requirements and needs for a better quality of life and local business. As example, the airport terminal, they are equipped with ride sharing, taxis, hotel shuttle, car rental shuttle, dropping up at the terminal entrance. Same as for the hotel. This is an example of curbside flex zone. In the morning, for example, freight deliveries arrive to stock store with their goods for the day. At midday, late morning brings package and mail deliveries to business and residents. During the afternoon, in the evening, we can, for example, shift to move people instead of goods. And nighttime, during nighttime, late night, the curb priorities can be down to freight vehicles because passengers movement is at the minimum. With many restaurants allowed to open during a pandemic with limited capacity, many cities are allowing restaurants to use parking space and sidewalk in front of their restaurants for opening air dining. In addition, restaurants and many other businesses are providing curbside pickup, and a key driver for this is the increased demand for immediate gratification, convenience, and less effort on consumers' part. Companies are thus racing to meet that expectation through physical and digital innovation. Restaurants and retail stores are looking to deliver greater speed and convenience, and for this reason they have several ways to improve their experience in pairing curbside pickup with a mobile app in an effective new way to drive profits and customer loyalty. For example, there is a contactless curbside solution that is developed by Mobiquity. This quite interesting curbside pickup system, contactless shopping. In the post-pandemic era, more people than ever will prefer to buy online, and as a result, curbside pickup operation enjoy tremendous popularity. But while any form of curbside pickup is better than offering a delivery option alone, many retailers established this model as a stopgap to their business afloat during the pandemic and are now struggling to take it to scale. Smart and flexible curbside management means moving from parking street to flex use streets as a strategic framework for understanding key mobility conflicts, boosting for all the different needs of city users, and how collaborative digital dialogue between city managers and operators can allow dynamic and virtuous mobility option at the curb. Generating value from existing assets, clear advantages for zero-emission powered cars, and better quality of life in cities. Alice, Polis, and IPA, that is European Parking Association, established a stable dialogue between forward-thinking municipalities and operators, allowing collaboration, promoting data-driven thinking on how open and real-time sharing of public space is able to align conflicting interests, increasing efficiency of the entire logistics sector. For example, availability of loading zone, everyday mobility and quality of city life experience, and find effective solution in better considering new demand. Adequate and dynamic data sharing between the public and private sector represent a suitable solution as a physical internet-driven approach to establish strategic dialogue among stakeholders and on available solution, fast-tracking the suitable decision and the smarter planning. Besides the proposed service on visibility and booking of shared loads, this session introduced concrete examples for defining and implementing new governance model, overcoming current barriers, and offering digital and dynamic layers between local authorities, logistic operators, and other city users. Thank you so much for your attention. Thanks a lot to the IPIC 2021 organizers and all the participants for listening. Thank you so much. And I am available for any question and clarification that you may need. Thank you so much.